Okay, guys, so welcome to the Right Balance Show. In this episode, we are joined by Manjot Singh. He is with ScyllaDB, and we're hoping to have a very nice conversation. So I will let Alex to take the wheel and drive us through.
Awesome. All right, Ruben, thank you. Thanks for the intro. Manjot, welcome. Thanks for joining us. I really wanted to have you on the show. You have a pretty interesting specialty, especially in infrastructure and the DB, arena. So we wanted to chat with you so you can share some of the insights from your experience. So let's kick it off with more of an early career and perhaps even some things that happened before your career. So why did you decide to go into tech in the first place?
It's actually a pretty long story. I started using computers when I was like 5. So, yeah, my dad brought home a little, green screen CRT from work. And I was the only one in my class that printed out on the dot matrix. I'd print out these little reports and things. So, from there, I just kind of kept tinkering with computers and like random people would be like, "Can you make this poster for me?" or "Can you do this?" And um, type up a document. And over time, the internet started to develop. I got online and people started saying, "Hey, make me a website. Can I want to host this thing about my business," or, a local business owner, or there was like a singer and he was like, "Can you put my audio up?" Things like that. So I started to get more and more into programming. I actually started making a nonprofit for my community, and I built out their websites and web infrastructure. In high school, I actually managed all of the technology in our high school. As sort of I was a teacher's assistant, but they basically were like, "Oh, this guy knows more than our employees. Let's have him there." And the side benefit was I got to play StarCraft on the school LAN and what was back then Counter-Strike. So, I'd get all my friends and we'd just be sitting there in the library playing on the computers, and it was a lot of fun. And then we tried to start a hosting business out of my friend's living room because he had cable. He had cable internet. I think it was like 1 megabit per second. We were so excited. And and that, we were teenagers. We got a few sites and then we just couldn't keep it up. We were busy with school. But it gave me a good learning experience and a good foundation in technology and leadership. And I think once I got into college, um, I started to, I got into computer science, electrical engineering, and I think at that point I was just tired of computers. So I actually went into art school just to get away from computers. And I got a degree in film, uh, directing and screenwriting. I got to meet the producers of some great movies. One of my teachers was an actress in Silence of the Lambs. Uh, One of them was the guy that lit Batman, Dark Knight. Yeah, so it was really cool. Um, and I went into it thinking, "Hey, this is what I want to do." I got married in university, and that meant I needed to get an income. So what was in San Francisco? I ended up at a webcasting company, doing filming for them, and their tech department was in Europe, and so they would say, "Hey, can you fix this? Can you work on this? Update our website?" So I sat next to the CEO and the CMO, and I was the only guy that knew how to do this stuff in the office. So I ended right back up managing the Office network while doing webcasting. And so that launched my career into being an SRE sysadmin. I did that a bit with government. And I'd actually been using MySQL since high school when I was making those websites. So it was like brand new. Back then, it was like version 3.23. I don't think anybody's used that. It was like, uh, not great, but it worked better than like text files. So, uh, yeah, and so I got recruited for that at UC Davis, they were like, well, you're the only one that's ever installed this product, so we're going to hire you. And I built my expertise, went to conferences, got to know people at Percona. And that was just amazing for me, realizing that people at Yelp and Facebook and Twitter and getting to know these people in the MySQL community, which was pretty close knit back then, uh, just learning off of them. And that led me to get recruited by Percona uh, after working on HP's cloud that was short lived. And Percona was where really their goal was to make everybody a rock star. They want people speaking at conferences. They want people to be the top experts in the industry. And I started working with a lot of Fortune 50s, Fortune 500s, every big name you can think of, and helping them with their database performance. And that really got me into where I'm at today. I know it's a long story, but there's just so much there.
It's so cool. This is definitely very inspirational. So this is your kind of like a second iteration of getting back into computers. Are you currently getting close to getting tired of computers again? If yes, like then what are the other avenues that you're exploring?
I don't think I could ever get as tired as people that went into it for the money. Like, for me, it's always been a passion. Like, I'm curious about technology. I'm genuinely curious about helping people be successful with technology. And that's what I look for when I hire people, actually. Do they have the curiosity? I don't care what you know. Do you have the ability to learn? Do you care enough to learn? And how do you learn? So, I don't know that I'll get tired of it, but I do have long days. My last company, it was really difficult. I was managing a global team and I did get burned out a lot. And I managed that by actually like doing woodworking, doing remodeling. I've been writing a bit, and then I've had a stealth startup that's kind of just been simmering for a year and a half that I just need to kind of work on the tech a bit more and get it off the ground.
You said woodworking. What type of woodworking?
Oh, wow. So I'll build random things around the house. I built a bathroom last year. I added a half bath to my house. I did all of the like sheetrock, the drywall, the framing, the electrical. So that's kind of that. Or, I'll build like a cutting board or something random. It just like I like to fix things and tinker. I did some really pretty walnut shelves. Uh, Walnuts, like, you actually have to put a lot of effort into it. Uh, and when you break it, it's sad because it's expensive.
Mm. Yeah.
Yeah.
So lots of things. No, this is definitely good. Actually, I do see a lot of parallel in handmade craftsmanship and also real estate and housing and all that stuff. So actually, there's lots of parallels between building software and building constructing
Yeah.
houses. So you mentioned that curiosity in computers is something that you're looking for when you interview people. What's your typical interview process that you implement?
So I don't want to give away my secret sauce, but I have a few questions that I've come to rely on, and these actually really help me to understand if the person will be a good fit. And I've actually doubted myself before, and the people that I hired that didn't pass all my questions, I regretted hiring in some cases. And so I know that people that ace these are really good. So uh, I was consulting at a company that runs theme parks um, with some sort of rodent mascot. And one of the tech managers I was working with, we were hanging out, and he said, um, I told him I was having trouble hiring, and he's like, "What type of questions do you ask?" And I kind of, we went back and forth, and he said, "Here's how I hire." He said, "I asked them a really simple question. Pretend I'm a space alien, and I know nothing about this topic. Teach me how to make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich." And that question and questions that are similar that I'll ask really, I think, tell me a lot about a technical person. Do they just skim over details? Do they know how to write good documentation? Do they think through the prerequisites and through who they're talking to and how to communicate that? So I've had people be like, well, get angry at me. What kind of question is that? That's not that's not the attitude I want of someone that works for me, because I may ask them to do some weird tech thing and they'll be like, why are you asking me to do this? That's not what I do. That's not in my contract. Right. And yeah, I think people should be held to the right. I'm not going to ask someone that I hired as an SRE to go unplug the toilet. Right. That's not fair. But there are times when I'll ask someone to research weird tech or explain something. And that's where it comes in handy. So, I've had people not understand it. And then I'll say, hey, it's a documentation exercise. Like, walk me through it. And the people that are coachable, so some people will be like, well, you just get two pieces of bread together, put some stuff on it, and you're good. Uh, okay, you sped through it. People that are coachable, though, I'll say, hey, I have the bread here, but like, is there supposed to be plastic in between it? And then they'll think about it and they'll be like, oh, so then I'll have really good people that'll say, well, do you have a mouth? Can you eat? Well, here's why humans eat, right? Here's how you acquire peanut butter. Some people will go as far as we grow these in the field and they'll talk through how wheat is grown and why it's a grain. I'll be like, okay, let's fast forward. There'll be people that'll teach me about a supermarket. It kind of puts you in their frame of thought, right? And then I'll have okay, so and I'll tell you some of the just one common mistake, because I don't wanna give it away if someone sees this and they're when I'm hiring them. But they'll be like, "Okay, now take the bread and put some peanut butter on it." So there's 2 problems with this. Do I just rip a chunk of bread out through the plastic? Because they didn't tell me to remove it from the plastic, right?
Mm.
Is it pre-sliced? Remove a slice. How do I put it down on the plate? They'll say, "Put it down flat on the plate." Okay, now it's flat on the plate. Which side, right? They'll say, open the jar of peanut butter. So I actually have all these props on my desk because I'm in the middle of a hiring process right now. So I'll be like, okay, I smashed the jar. So now I have some glass fragments on my knife. Is that good? There's no, you have to twist the lid open. Right? People that know all this ahead of time, they're great. People that are
Mhm.
adjustable and coachable and work through it really in a friendly way. That's who I want working with my customers.
Mhm.
So,
Interesting. So,
yeah.
do people, get a um, unexpected feeling when they come into the interview and get asked to when they come to the tech interview and they ask to make a peanut butter jelly sandwich? Do you get a lot of like, you know, people very surprised about it?
So this is usually my first question after tell me about yourself.
Okay.
And people that are really nervous in that first question, I laugh while I talk about this and they start to loosen up. And I've had people email me and say, thank you so much for that first question because I was so nervous. And one of the problems I actually had at MariaDB at my last company, I was the face of their YouTube. And so people would have watched 5, 6 of my videos and they'll be like, man, you really helped me through some problems. Or I watched all your videos yesterday and I'm so nervous right now. And that just derails my hiring process
Mm.
because I want to put them at ease and understand who they are in their day to day. So this question also helps with that nervousness.
Yeah.
I've had
There.
people ask, some of my colleagues will say, well, how do you tie your shoelaces? Or, other countries will say, how do you make toast? Or how do you make some local dish that they eat, right?
Yeah. That makes sense. Yeah. If you want to get hired by Manjot Singh, you need to know how to make good peanut butter jelly sandwiches. That's the main thing. Um,
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Now this is a very interesting way to really feel out the coachability of a person, and like I said, the soft skills. Really see if there's a fit here. Okay, so you mentioned that now we're talking about hiring. So in terms of um, staffing up your team, which are the channels that you're using? Which channels you can recommend using in certain situations for other technology leaders?
Wow. So it's hard. So something that my mentor and my current boss and previous boss have always told me. I keep working with this guy. He's amazing, Austin. He's like this super positive guy. They'll say always be hiring. Always be hiring. Have people that you know in your network, but also just kind of explore because you don't know if someone else has a life situation going on and they're gonna put in their resignation or whatever, right? I really like my team. I always hope that none of them leave because again, I've hired amazing people in the past. And so uh I work with my HR team. They're very important, right? So they're the ones that are really my gatekeepers and the owners of my ATS. So if they're not on board and they don't understand what I'm doing, I'll get all these candidates and I don't know how to process them through the system, right? That's the first step. And then recruiter partners. So I have a few recruiters that I've worked with from one company to the next, and they know me, they know what I'm looking for, they know my questions, and um, they filter through people to me that are great. And even with my network and organic people, the 2 or 3 recruiters that know me well, they're the ones that tend to get the hires for me. I don't know. Yeah. I mean, I've tried hiring friends and I have to be fair, right? And I always end up with these really awesome guys and a good percentage are from good recruiters.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely it's good to work with people who already know what type of people that you need.
Yeah.
And that way they can bring you those people and they can also prepare. Like, I can imagine going into a technical interview, not knowing what's happening, and then start talking about peanut butter jelly sandwiches. It could be, and a very interesting experiences, perhaps some unexpected experience. But if they know what you actually are about and what you value in people, then this whole experience of going through the process is much smoother. And peanut butter sandwiches are way better that way. So,
Yeah.
cool. This is really good stuff. Really good, also insight. And so with your specialty in the databases and infrastructure, I also have seen that you've been a field CTO. Would you mind speaking a little bit more about what field CTO is and what type of um, challenges that you've been facing in that position?
Yeah. So field CTO, I was the field CTO at MariaDB. And basically it's the highest level technical position, technical expert on the sales and customer success side. Different companies will use them differently. I think I know one company, I think ServiceNow, where they just have a lot of field CTOs. They'll have a field CTO for government, field CTO for healthcare, just different sectors. They're a large company, right? A lot of companies just have the one field CTO, which I was, and basically I had two distinct responsibilities. One was work with the CRO to close important deals, right? And I would be there with the SA team, the solutions architects, and really work with these customers to get them over those final hurdles and do some final testing or create scripting or lab things that maybe are custom for them that will get the deal closed. And also just handshake. Like there was a time I flew out to India and they were just so grateful that I went out there and talked to them and blah, blah, blah. So part of it is it's just a title, right? And having that title come visit people is a big deal. Um,
Mm.
the other side of it was post sales. So taking care of the customer once they're a customer. And so when there were high level escalations, incidents, dealing with executives at the customer side, that was a part of it as well. And then I was lucky enough to also become a close advisor of the CEO. Um, and I enjoyed my time there. It was a good opportunity, and I learned a lot and got to have a pretty positive impact, doing just a lot of custom like development and playing with our products and things like that. So
Yeah, and
yeah.
honestly, I think a lot of value that you bring from the field by talking to customers, and a lot of value that you bring into product development and also customer feedback because you're talking to customers right there every day. So it's a very important role. Um, okay, awesome. So this has been an amazing journey, starting from the very early age into entrepreneurship, art, and now back into computers. And um, so, are there any learnings that you can share with other technology leaders to help them down on their path?
Wow. I'm still a learner. So for me, I'm always learning. I think my biggest learning last year or the year before was don't work yourself to the bone where you burn out. I always I always want to be at the front line, right? Leading the charge. So anytime I knew that my team was having a hardship, I was right there with them. I think that's really important to build morale. But on the other hand, if you're noticing that there's something wrong and you got to watch out for your own health, your team's health, and really work to not only keep your team's cohesive happiness together, but also your own, right? That's a big one. The other one is hire really good people so that you're not having to do that, right? Really good people will say, hey, let us take care of this. We got it. And you can trust that they do, right? That's really important as well. And then, knowing the tech. I think I've worked with technology leaders that they're kind of just riding it through.
Mhm.
Uh, and that's difficult when you're at the front lines. Well, a customer might ask you a technical question that you don't know well, right? And it is good to have the people under you, but there's times when if you don't know what you're selling, that can get you in trouble. So I think really and always being willing to learn and realizing that, you know, you're not, you just have a title, but you're part of the team, right? And being collaborative, that's always really important to me. So I approach everything with kindness first and empathy. I think those are really important. And we forget that in tech because, sometimes we're dealing with a problem, we just want it to go away. And then we treat people like that too. But you can't treat people like tech. And I think that's a big difference.
Yeah, very insightful. Very insightful. Thanks for sharing, especially things around managing burnout and staying motivated, bringing good people. So all of these are good things. Awesome. So thank you. It's been a pleasure to hear your wonderful journey, and it also been a pleasure to hear a lot of your perspectives on different aspects of technological leadership. So we're good, and I'll pass it over back to you, Ruben, so we can wrap this up.
All right, guys. So definitely a very good chat. Thank you, Manjot, for that. And for everybody who's watching, thank you for joining. Stay tuned for our next episode. Take care.
Thanks for having me. Bye.
All right. Bye bye.
Did you enjoy this video? Then hit the like button and share it with your network. Also be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos.